Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are talking about the Banlist post-Worlds, and most likely also post-Duelist Cup. And the reason for this is because I expect it to be fairly large. Normally I don't talk about like ban lists unless they're going to be fairly large, so there you go. All things considered, I do think that this is going to be slightly larger than some in the past, mostly because that's just generally what they do with the Worlds metagames, right? So they're probably going to do the Duelist Cup, see if the stuff that is prevalent within the World metagame or within the World Championship is still relevant within the wider ecosystem of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, aka like the best of one ladders. And from there, they'll kind of decide whether or not to do specific things. So there's that. Especially with the new set that just released, they may not be trying to like shake up the meta immediately, kind of like giving it a second. So there's that. Now, if you don't know, pretty much, simply put, we're expecting the decks from the World Championship to be hit in some capacity. Most notable being the Fire King and the Duel, which were the two most prevalent, with Tier right behind. So those are the three decks that I have on here mostly, and there's that. If you want to take a look at the World's list, you absolutely can, and just kind of go through and be like, oh, this could be potentially hit. But I don't expect Konami to do a big list in comparison to like what the TCG does or what the OCG does. I'm expecting it to still be a Master Duel list overall, and for some minor hits overall. So, there's that. Alright, so hopping right into the banned cards. We're starting with the banned cards. A lot of cards in particular that were floodgates were pretty common, right? We had the Vice King Requiem, which was in a few of the lists with Branded being able to utilize this guy in order to basically do the puppet lock, right? Same thing with Jaugen. Jaugen was another way to just puppet lock your opponent and prevent them from playing the game with the Branded cards. And I, again, highly doubt they're actually going to hit the problem. They're probably just going to continue to ban more and more of these cards rather than the actual problem, that being Sanctifier Dragon. So yeah, expect more bans like this. Then, of course, I also expect Ibli to be on here as well, given the fact that the Duel stuff was also pretty prevalent, right? And they are all over the place. The Ibli lock variant of Duel, just being able to give your opponent Ibli is really stupid. And I think, I would imagine Konami's likely to see this and be like, oh, yeah, this is only being used in this one strategy ever, and we're just gonna take it behind the shed because it's only ever been used for like shenanigans, right? Now, granted, they could also do something ridiculously stupid and like ban Gigantic Sprite or something like that, but I highly doubt that they're gonna do that, right? The other thing that they're gonna ban is Kit. I have a feeling, I have a notion, I have an idea. Kit is likely to be banned. If you ban Kit, a lot of the tier stuff just falls apart and stops working as like a mill engine and stuff like that. It's also an SR, which is likely to be hit. They could potentially do, again, something stupid like ban Havness or something ridiculous along those lines, which is a realistic possibility, right? But again, I highly doubt that that's likely what's going to happen. It's probably going to be, hey, we banned Kit in the TCG, we banned Kit in the OCG, and tier limit stopped showing up. Let's do it in Master Duel to get it to stop showing up. So, I would imagine that's likely what's going to happen. Moving on to limits, I think there is one card that is realistically going to be limited, and that is Snow. I also have Gamma on here because, honestly, Konami hates Gamma for the most part, and so it was pretty prevalent at the World Championships, and that is, I don't know, I always feel like it's on the chopping block post-Worlds. But yeah, Snow, I think, is pretty heavily in the line of fire, given how many grass decks there were, and Konami loves that grass looks greener because they hate fun. I don't know. They're goofy. They're goofy goobers who just don't understand how this game should work. So instead of actually banning the problem with grass, well, okay, first of all, they should also ban Snow, but they're not going to do that yet. if Snow is to be banned, they would limit it first and then ban it later, because reasons, I don't know why they do that. But yeah, realistically, I think Snow is kind of in that line of fire, and they're likely to ban it. This card was limited, or sorry, this card was banned, and then came back to 1 in the TCG, and then the next ban list, it was back to 0 because they realized, oh, that was a mistake. We probably should not have done that. And yeah, it absolutely is. So I think Konami might limit this card, given how prevalent it was with the grass variants of decks and stuff like that, and most notably within tier itself. So there you go. And then Konami's gonna do what Konami's gonna do and semi-limit a whole bunch of cards. So let's talk about them. First and foremost, we have the Fire King stuff, which I believe is going to be Volcanics. It's gonna go to 2. If this doesn't happen, I will eat my shoe. Genuinely, this is the #1 thing that I think is likely to happen. It's an SR. It's part of the top deck according to Worlds, and they don't like putting cards to 1 unless they really have to. So of course they're going to put it to 2. I also think Kieran is likely to go to 2 as well, given the fact that it's at 2 in the OCG. I wish I could explain more, but I genuinely think that that's how Konami thinks sometimes. They're just I don't know, put it to 2. It's at 2 in the other game, and it seems fine there. It's okay, yeah, for sure. I also expect Spirit of the Opening of the Spirit Gates to go to 2 as well. I believe this was at 2 at some point. I think it just got limited to 2 in TCG as well, right? So again, just kind of following suit. It's still, Yubel is arguably one of the best decks, if not the best deck, and so yeah. Also, they hate Pearly, so this is going to go to 2. Again, they really don't like Pearly. This is the problem card at this point. It's going to go to 2 because they're not going to ban it. They're not going to put it to 1. Yeah, and then I also think at this point, Phantom of Yubel kind of does have a target on its back. So again, not going to put it to 1 because people are playing 3 of this card. So they're going to put it to 2 because you can't give that many URs. There's that. Yeah, a lot of this is basically just... Konami tends to just put things to 2, especially in Master Duel and in the OCG, which is strange, but honestly pretty likely, right? They're oh, let's hit the consistency of the decks instead of actually hitting the problem cards that really are unfun to play against, like Nightmare Pain and Phantom, or with Snake Eye, like Flomberg, right? And no, it's basically just Flomberg, right? I guess you could also argue the original Sinful Spoil, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to say. These are... I wish I could explain more or express more, but I really just feel these are pretty easy to understand, right? It's okay, the best deck, second best deck. We don't like Pearly. Cool. Moving on. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.